everybody, this is Mike the Gamer Guy, and welcome to this rather impromptu setting for one last video for July. Today I want to highlight some ROM hacks of two games that I've praised previously on this channel, and for that we're going to have to turn to the wild, wild world of video game emulation. The two games we have today are Super Mario World by Hummer Team and Zelda Triforce of the Gods by Waixing. Let's start with the SMW hack, known as Super Mario World Improvement. This is a hack of the complete version of the game that can only be found on the JY120 Super 45-in-1 cart. I plan to talk about this cart on its own at some point, but for now let's just talk about this so-called improvement. For starters, the visuals have gotten what can only be described as an upgrade. A particular standout example for me is actually something relatively minute, and that's the Rexes, whose color palette has been totally changed to something much more similar to their SNES counterparts. Of course, more drastic visual changes are also welcome, such as Mario, who has been almost entirely redrawn. To be honest though, I feel like he kinda looks just the slightest bit weirder now. Like there's something about his neck that's weird. I don't know. Either way, a commendable effort. Also, for those of you wondering, the music, which I personally like quite a bit, is unchanged. Sorry, Connor.
This right here is pretty much the standard for what a good bootleg is. Just don't listen to the awful music, though.
There are a plethora of minor tweaks made to the gameplay, which I doubt most people will likely notice, but the controls in Mario's physics are elements which have been altered greatly, and unfortunately, this is at times actually to the game's detriment. A minor example of this is in Level 3. In my brief revisit of this game a few months back, I talked about how Hummer Team built the levels around the stiff controls. But now that stiffness is no longer a problem, and Mario controls much more like how you would hope or expect, weird elements like the reinforced platforms in Level 3 are pointless and frankly weird. The actual issue comes with the third castle. While this level is cool for including an opening segment that was omitted from the original due to a bug, the second half is now almost completely unplayable. In the world of Hummer's Super Mario World, Mario is supposed to have the speed of a bullet train. This becomes essential to clear certain gaps. In the case of the third castle, if you jump, Mario bumps his head on the ceiling and dies. So the strategy here is to get Mario at full speed and run across the gap. The rest of the dungeon follows a very similar formula. But now that Mario's movement has been quote-unquote corrected, you have to somehow make this impossible gap by jumping. This put a permanent damper on the whole thing for me, and it was just as I was starting to really get into it. Now, of course, that being said, these are all things that could easily be fixed in a future update to the patch, so overall I can't really complain too much, especially considering this is a fan project. Even if I do think that it's a bit broken, I'd still recommend checking it out if you're a fan of the Hummer original, as I do feel that it breathes some much needed life into this bootleg classic. Next and lastly, I want to highlight something that just came out, an English fan translation of Zelda Triforce of the Gods for the Famicom. I'll admit up front that this kind of thing excites me way more than something like the Mario hack, since I feel this makes the game more accessible to newcomers without misrepresenting the original game's intentions. From what I've played of it so far, the translation seems quite good, though the text speed that was intended for Chinese characters seems perhaps a bit too fast for the average English reader. There's also a few instances of weird formatting, which isn't too surprising when you consider the language this was translated from, and which doesn't bother me all that much anyway. One of my favorite details in the hack is actually the title screen, which has been completely redrawn and now actually says Zelda. Nifty. One improvement that I do think is worth making, however, is adding item descriptions back in, or at the very least removing the box that is supposed to display them. If you don't read Chinese and like this game as much as I do, I strongly recommend playing through it again in English. Even more of the depth of Link to the Past world begins to show itself, demonstrating yet again the quality craftsmen Waixing truly were when it came to this game. And that's all I have to say for now, guys. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear in the comment section below if you guys have any other ROM hacks of a similar nature to this one. The translations or bootleg improvements, all that stuff is really interesting to me, so drop me a few links if you got any. Aside from that, just a huge thank you to everybody who supported me on Patreon. It's been an excellent month, and I couldn't be more thankful for all of it, and I hope that we just continue to grow as time goes on. And hopefully August will be just as productive as July was, if not more. So I think that's everything. Expect some more videos in the very near future, and I'll see you guys later.